The next song that I did to compare to my first song, Hallelujah, was Jesus Christ by Brand New, but it was actually written by one of their band members, Jesse Lacey. First of all, I'd like to talk about Jesse Lacey. Jesse Lacey does not have really a lot about him or his personal life, because he was once said in an interview that he doesn't mind talking to people. He's a friendly person, but he doesn't really like talking about his personal life. And so the only couple things that we know is basically that he didn't always want to be a musician. That kind of came naturally after he'd been playing music for 7 or 8 years. But when he was growing up, music was still a really important part of his life, because his parents were always playing music in their house. And so they always had the modern music, and he always kind of had that influence on his life. It's also been said that he gets really depressed when he starts writing his music, and he kind of lives in his own little world. And that kind of explains why some of his music comes out as kind of dark, and the lyrics are kind of depressing. First, I'm going to talk about religion. Religion and postmodernism, as I discussed before, is kind of an interesting topic. It can go anywhere because everybody has their own personal beliefs and opinions. They can all kind of pick and choose what parts of religion they want to believe. It's almost like a buffet where they go and pick what parts they want to believe, and they just kind of leave everything else behind. They don't really have to follow the normal constraints of an organized religion. And so it seems to me that in this song he's kind of ironic as far as his religion, because on one hand he almost seems like he's worshiping God, and then on the other hand it's almost like he's cursing him in a way. Because one of his lines, he seems like he's taking the name of God in vain, and he says, Jesus Christ, that's a pretty face. But another line, he says, Jesus Christ, I'm alone again, so what did you do those 3 days you were dead? Which is obviously alluding to when God was buried for 3 days in a tomb. So it's kind of hard to figure out where he's coming from as far as religion is concerned in this song, because he keeps going back and forth between the kind of worship and cursing. Then there's figurative language, and just like our last song, there's a lot of figurative language used in this. The allusions to Bible things, specifically Jesus, of course, how he had been dead for 3 days. There was another part where it talked about nailing him back up, which was in reference to his cross. Figurative language is really important in postmodernism. It kind of keeps things in perspective, but also shows how things can be more than they seem. And I think that also the way that he shows both sides of the cursing and the worshiping of God shows the way he feels about everything, because he never really knows what to think. He can be hateful and loving to the same thing at 2 different points. Another thing is nature. In nature, he talks about, in the song, he talks about how he's not scared to die, but he is scared about what comes after. And I think that's important. A lot of times people are scared to die, but sometimes people aren't, and they are just scared of what comes afterwards, because nobody can really be sure, especially in these postmodern times when nobody knew what to believe about religion and everybody believed different things. It's really difficult to be sure about something when you don't have any backup, because everybody believes something different. You can never find somebody that believes the same things as you. Then there comes human nature. And the whole song is obviously about his confusion with death, religion, his loyalty to God, and even his own sanity that he questions at times. And there's a part in the song where he says, we all got wood and nails and talk dirt at hating factories. So basically that just shows the bad part of humanity and how they tend to talk dirt about each other. Even though they could love each other, there's always hatred and there's always bad things that are piling up, and that's just human nature. The next part is government and society. In one part he says, Jesus Christ, that's a pretty face, the kind you'd find on someone that could save. If they don't put me away, it'll be a miracle. And when they say they, I kind of think of the government or society. But basically, to me, this line screams that he's worried, because everybody tends to worry at some point in their life that nobody else understands them, and that they just kind of will be put away, or somebody will tell them that they're crazy someday. Nobody will ever believe them or relate to them. I think everybody kind of harbors that fear somewhere inside of them, even if they don't let it show very well. then there's the issue with the American dream. And just like the song before this, the American dream, as I discussed, is all about getting yourself to the top, doing what you have to do to make yourself happy. And unfortunately, a lot of times that means pushing people down. And one of the lines in this song was, I know you'll come in the night like a thief, but I've had some time to hone my lying technique. I know you think I'm someone you can trust, but I'm scared I'll get scared, and I swear I'll try to nail you back up. And this is referring to Jesus and how he'll come back, and then he's scared that he will nail him back up to the cross, obviously. But I think that it can apply to anything, really, like not just Jesus and the cross, but also just people. He's worried that anybody that tries to get close to him, he'll just push him away or push him down, even though he looks like he's loves them and it will be fine, because that's just his nature, and that's the way the world works. You push people down to get back up, even if you love them. And the hero, once again, is someone who gets it all together and gets all the parts of what they need together. And I think that unlike our last song, where there was a sense of closure at the end and he felt as though the hero kind of found what he needed, in this song it almost is worse at the end, and it leaves you hanging and you're not really sure what he's going to think. He does not get it all solved. It's not a happily ever after ending. At one point in the song, he says, will I divide and fall apart because my light is too slight to hold back all my dark? And then at the end, he says, I know you'll come for the people like me, but we all got wooden nails and talk dirt at hate factories. So he's not really sure what's going to happen in the end, because he hasn't gotten it figured out. He doesn't know how to control himself, and he doesn't know how to control who he is. He doesn't know how to control his own nature, and he's just worried about what's going to ultimately happen to him. So in that way, it's very different from the other song.